Technology that we hear mainly of in relation to cryptocurrencies is finding its way into the tax administration conversation. Blockchain technology has the potential to significantly impact the digitalization of Africa's tax systems. The use of blockchain can enhance transparency, efficiency, and accountability in tax administration, leading to increased revenue generation and improved governance. It's important to note that implementing blockchain in tax systems requires careful planning, collaboration, and regulatory frameworks. And there needs to be investments in infrastructure, stakeholder education, and even addressing legal and privacy concerns. So while blockchain can enhance tax administration, it likely is not the silver bullet to addressing what ails tax administration across the continent. As we continue to shine a spotlight on tax issues across Africa in collaboration with the West African Tax Administration Forum, let's look at where and how blockchain comes into this equation. Joining me now is Manel Bondi. She's the Digital Taxation Director for the Digital Cooperation Organization, which is an intergovernmental organization that aims to enable digital prosperity for all by accelerating inclusive growth of the digital economy. Manel, thank you so much for joining me on Business Edge. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So let's start with this connection that blockchain has to digitalization of tax systems. We think of blockchain as something for cryptocurrencies. So let's look at that first. How is it linked to what we're discussing today, and how has the space been evolving?
Thank you very much for this question. Actually, to understand how blockchain can be linked to the digitalization of tax systems, we need to understand how this technology works and its main features. So actually, when thinking about blockchain, we need to think of an unencrypted distributed ledger of information that is replicated across devices that we call nodes. And those nodes are joined together in a peer-to-peer network. So under blockchain technology, we have no centralized server. On the contrary, all the network devices, those nodes, record and save real-time the same information in their respective electronic ledgers in a way that it becomes immutable, and thus making the whole process and the whole arrangement real-time, transparent, and secure. So how can this be used in the context of a digitalized tax system? Here we're talking more about the tax administration perspective, but it can also apply to taxpayers from the private sector also. But for tax administrations, blockchain can be used to allow automation, paperless transactions, less human intervention, so less mistakes also, but above all, real-time compliance and reporting, including collection of taxes, which is one of the main indicators of easiness of doing business in a specific jurisdiction.
Okay.
So blockchain also increases visibility of tax administration in the meaning that, for tax administration, in the meaning that currently administrations, they do not have a complete oversight of the taxpayer's value chain. The only information they gather it from the different declarations of VAT, customs, and transfer pricing. So okay, blockchain can allow also, yeah.
So let me come in here because I want to ask, in terms of using blockchain for taxation, can it be applied to all types of taxes? Because there are so many differences, whether it's for corporations or individuals, but does blockchain, would it work, or is it working right now for all types of taxes across board?
Yes, I would say it is more adapted to indirect taxes, and it is being currently applied to indirect taxes, VAT and customs duties, but it can serve for direct taxes purposes in the context of transfer pricing, in the meaning that this huge bulk of transactions that we can access real time can provide us with contemporaneous comparables for transfer pricing purposes.
All right, so let's move on from there. So as I said, it could be used or it is being used. So let's look at some examples now, Manel. In terms of those who are making use of this technology for tax purposes, what are the results that they're getting from incorporating blockchain into tax administration?
Yes, a couple examples exist of real-world implementation of blockchain. It is about VAT and customs, as I said. There's a case in China. It is, I would say, it is very successful when it comes to the outcome of this experience. There's also, for China, it is the blockchain invoicing system that enabled China to control, the whole value chain and the collection of VAT and also the refund of tax credits. There's also an experience in Thailand. They have a blockchain-powered VAT refund for tourists. There's also an experience in India. It is about indirect taxes and customs also. And there are also many countries still testing blockchain for customs purposes.
All right, so many countries are testing. Let's come to the situation, particularly here on the African continent, in terms of challenges and obstacles into integrating blockchain technology with tax administration. What do you think is happening here on the continent? And even though I say continents, we know that there are over 50 countries and economies that will need to deal with their tax administrations and trying to bring them up into the 21st century. So what about some specific economies and challenges they're running into in this regard?
About the challenges of the use of the blockchain technology, which is an innovative technology, and which is, I would say, it's new to everyone. So everyone is going through the same challenges, but it might be more challenging for developing countries because of, of the lack or the weakness of the regulatory framework and because of the human capacity also. But overall, there are common challenges to everyone. Mainly three categories of challenges. Cost advantage, of course, but this is not specific to blockchain. It is for technology in general. You always need to assess the cost advantage for the use of specific technology. Capacity also, human capacity and training and building capacity for people to be able to use the technology properly, but also and mainly the rule of law, because when you implement and when you decide to use blockchain, it should be based on clear laws. There should be a comprehensive legal framework that covers the design, the development, the use, including standards and procedures, mainly to protect information.
So in terms of putting all of this together, because we see that with many African countries, there are issues of taxation across border, movements of goods and services, and even taxing that. So when it comes to continental conversations around tax administration, are we seeing coordinated efforts across countries to integrate blockchain technology, or is it about individual economies that seem, as you said, to be moving ahead of others?
Yes, that use of blockchain for tax purposes, it comes as part of a big wave that we call of tax administration 3.0. It means the use of innovative technologies. It's happening in certain specific countries, tax administrations. It is a reality today, and the use of blockchain for tax purposes is expanding. And the proliferation of blockchain solutions that are not interconnected could be a major limitation to build scalable systems. So a wide collaboration is actually needed between tax authorities, and the Digital Cooperation Organization member states are walking the talk, in the meaning that we have two examples, experiences when it comes to international cooperation to use blockchain technology for tax purposes. For KSA, for Saudi Arabia, the customs authority is exploring with other customs authorities the adoption of a common blockchain platform that would accelerate customs clearance by exchanging customs declarations and documents in real time. There's also another example coming from Morocco, as the customs authorities has launched a cooperation project with the DHL and GIZ to develop a blockchain platform to collect and share international transaction data on traders, express mail service, customs authorities, and other stakeholders. So this is, I would say, the objective, and we expect to see more cooperation about implementing blockchain across countries and across continents. It is expected to happen.
Okay, so there's no tax administration system without the people being taxed. That's the individual and, of course, companies as well. So let's look at the implications of blockchain for companies and taxpayers. What do you think, particularly when it comes to the interaction of taxpayers and authorities? Where is that blockchain technology going to come in?
Yes, actually, every stakeholder is asking, what's in it for me? How can I benefit from it? And they need to understand. And actually, it is useful for both. I mean, whether individual or businesses, blockchain, if implemented by the administration, it can allow them to file their tax returns and pay their taxes easily. So it will ensure a real-time compliance and less burden in terms of administrative processes with tax revenues. It can be used by companies, as I said, for transfer pricing businesses, transfer pricing, transactions. It can enable them to record and reconcile transactions across the whole multinational group, real-time, completely harmonized. And it is also useful for tax administrations to conduct real-time tax audits and to collect more effectively taxation. So I would say it's a win-win. It serves both stakeholders in this area.
All right, so you talk about this being a win-win, and we know for many African economies, the struggle is compliance, even just deciding what to be taxed and how much to tax, fraud, evasion, multiple taxation, and more. Is using blockchain technology in Africa's tax administration system, is it the silver bullet? Will it solve all of taxation issues that we're experiencing? What do you think?
Excuse me, is it the solution you mean?
Yes, is this the one-size-fits-all solution?
One size fits all, no, I would say yes, it is the solution, but then it needs to be adapted to each country. You know, it depends on the starting point of each country when it comes to regulatory framework, when it comes to human capacity. But the experience showed that it is effective to use blockchains by tax administrations to control VAT, particularly, and customs duties. As in China, they are reporting, a huge progress in the collection of taxes and in tackling tax evasion. I think it is a solution, but then we need to assess whether it is adapted to the context or not, especially in terms of cost advantage, because these are very costly technologies.
But are there limitations? Are there some limitations we should take notice of when it comes to bringing in blockchain technology and tax administration systems? What do you think?
There are, for sure. Again, it's not specific to blockchain. It applies to the use of any technology. For blockchain particularly, I think it is because it's a very complex technology and it requires upskilling. It will be first capacity building, assuming we have the financial resources to implement the technology, of course, and then rule of law. There is no point to use blockchain without securing its design and its use by all stakeholders and securing the information itself.
And finally, that question should naturally be followed by me asking, what are the considerations we need to take into context and think about when it comes to implementing blockchain in tax systems, in tax administration?
Well, I mean, again, I'm coming back again to the challenges and limitations of the use of blockchain in the context of taxation by tax administrations. I would say what we should take into consideration is the cost of this technology. It needs to be adapted to the needs of government, and if it can be able to achieve the expected outcome in terms of additional revenues with a reasonable cost, then why not? If not, if the impact is not, a considerable impact, a game changer impact, then we don't need to go big maybe a simple e-invoicing system not based on blockchain technology could solve the tax issues, and also legal and regulatory considerations. It needs to be secure. It has to be secure also to increase trust with the taxpayer, for them to be willing to use this blockchain technology. And last but not least, it shouldn't be complex. We shouldn't add additional burden on taxpayers and administrations also.
Fantastic place to end the conversation. Always putting the taxpayer at the front of the conversation. Manel Bondi, Digital Taxation Director for the Digital Corporation Organization. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. And the conversations on taxation will continue here on Business Edge. We've partnered with the West African Taxation Administration Forum for conversations on how to strengthen Africa's tax systems, what we need to do to, of course, increase compliance and confidence, and looking at areas in which there might be issues, evasion, fraud, and the likes, even multiple taxation and the use of those taxes, because taxation is something that's very, very important for Africa's growth and development, particularly on the economic side. You're watching Business Edge. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we have international business news. And then, of course, we have more conversations. Stick around.